Hello, Governor. This is Hey Keenan, take 25.
Oh shit, the Brexit. Boom, what's going on, peeps? In this take of Hey Keenan, take 25, I get a little personal. I take on a tough topic. Men and women in sales. Gender differences. And I talk about leadership and why salespeople aren't always the best sales leaders. You don't want to miss this one. Hey people, what's going on? Welcome to Hey Keenan, take 25. That's a lot. Is that silver? Is 25 silver?
I don't know the reference.
Anniversaries?
Yeah, or the 25, right? 25 years, it's silver. It's your. All right, so it's silver from that regard. I don't know what it is when you turn 25. I think that's something too.
Record your life crisis.
You can get a rent a car, yes, but it also means something else. Like we should look that up while we're doing this. Your 25th birthday, something. I don't know. They all mean stuff. I think. But anyway, so number 25. We're cruising. I can't believe this. We're doing really well. Excited to be back. Today's a crazy day. It'll probably be a week before you see this because we're backed up on some of these. We got to start putting them out. But today the Brexit happened, and oh boy, crazy. Hey Max, say hi to Kiki.
Hi everyone.
Yes, this Brexit thing is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't
terrifying.
it? No, it's crazy. The thing I saw most interesting was the vote count. And the people who were going to have to live with this the longest, the youngest people who have to live with this decision, voted to stay. And the people who are least likely going to have to live with this, the old people, 65 and older, voted much heavily to leave. So I find this interesting, right? It's the people who it impacts the least in the long term are the ones who did it, and they affect everybody else. Look, I'm pretty much a good liberal Democrat, but sometimes I'm thinking, man, we need to wait votes. And if you're old, your vote doesn't count as much. Your vote doesn't count as much because you're gone soon. You don't have to live with the mess you make for us. But anyways, although I'm getting old, so my vote's going to start to, yeah, maybe. But I'm excited about this take. We got some really good questions coming up. Before we do that, Kiki was holding this right before we started the show. I want to give some love to my boy, Stu Heineke. This book is dope. Look, How to Get a Meeting with Anybody. You guys should pick this up. What I love about it is the creativity that goes into some of these ideas that he's teaching you. This is not, I say again, this is not a one-fits-all approach. This is all about being creative. It's about attacking a handful of people that you want, that you have to get to. It's phenomenal. If you're into account-based marketing, this dovetails with account-based marketing or account-based selling like nobody's business. So get this, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. It's great. It's a fun read, really sharp. I had to give him plugs because I really liked it that much. Okay, so today's take. What do we got? What do we got, Kiki?
I always like it when we get these. We got a video question from Mr. Jason Flores. So take it away, Jason.
Hello, Keenan. Jason Flora here, checking in with you. For my Ask Keenan, I'm curious. It's often said that leadership is influence. And we know that sales is primarily just influencing somebody to a buying decision, leading them down that path. That being said, why do you feel or see that so many great salespeople fail at leading?
Jason, my man, great question. I want to answer this a couple ways because there's a lot to this. The first way I want to answer it is this, my man. Look, the type of influence that you're talking about when it comes to salespeople, being a good salesperson versus leading an organization are different types of influences. Yes, you kind of need leadership to be a good salesperson, but it's not about getting people to buy in every day for a long period of time to drive forward across a bunch of different measurements and a bunch of different long-term vision, right? Selling someone that type of leadership is required to get someone over a short period of time. You know, sales cycle 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year, 18 months, but that's it. Yes, it's required, but it's not nearly as much. You don't need as much, and it's a different type of leadership, right? It's almost like a weak tie leadership versus a strong tie leadership. If you want to understand that, go take a look at Gravinetter. He talks about weak ties and strong ties, and I'm sort of taking his idea and stretching it to this, but it'll make sense to you. But when you talk about leadership that's going to lead a sales organization, that's an entirely different ballgame. And one of the major problems with there is we don't focus on leadership when we give those people promotions. We don't teach leadership. Look, I got a degree from the University of Colorado Boulder. There was no leadership course for me, right? There was no go take my leadership course and find out what leadership was all about. I mean, I had to learn about it on my own and read books. So first, we don't do that. Secondly, we don't really look for it, right? So take a look at job descriptions out there. Go out there and take a look at Vice President of Sales, wherever you can, and see how much white space is used for leadership and how much they're looking for leadership and how they're trying to evaluate leadership and assess someone's leadership. Because here's the interesting point about this, my man. We just assume leadership is coming with it. Man, remember when I was a kid, you used to get toys all over the place, right? And it would be batteries not included. And I remember Christmas time would come along and parents would forget the batteries. And you'd have all these great toys and none of the damn things work because in the batteries. Well, now batteries are included, and I think we treat leaders like that. When we hire these executives, we hire vice presidents, we hire directors, we hire managers, we promote someone from management, I think we assume that leadership is included because we don't spend much time evaluating it. That I promise you. And if you really think about it, the minute you're no longer an individual contributor, leadership is your job. Leadership is your job. Your job is to get the people who work for you to do their job and do it well, to perform, to execute, to get behind a vision. You have to win through other people. Yet we spend so much little time and so little white space in the job description and all that stuff and actually identifying and asking for and evaluating leadership. So that's half the problem. We don't focus enough on leadership. We focus too much time on expertise and experience and, industry knowledge and et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's the problem. So, my man, I think it's really twofold. One, we just don't know how to evaluate for it. We don't know how to test for it. We don't know how to look for it. And I think the second one is we assume that the type of leadership that we have as a salesperson automatically translates into a sales leader. And we've known for years that doesn't work, and that's not the same type of leadership. So I hope that answers it for you, my man. Hope that answers it for it. But I think people, just kind of don't get it. You know what I mean? They don't get it. Leadership is, once you're not an individual contributor, that's all you are, is a leader. That's it. You got to get everybody else who's working for you to work better and produce through you. So, all right, there you have it.
Second question, again, another favorite of mine. She's a lady. Her name is Jennifer, but she goes by @Bebe de la Luna on Twitter.
Had a little trouble with that one?
Yeah. And her question is there a difference in men's and women's styles when selling that makes it harder or easier to allow the prospect to say no?
Wow. Harder to say no. I'm going to start on the tail end of this question, okay? No, I don't think there's anything that makes it harder for the customers to say no. If you're talking really low-end transactional, I'm sure there might be. But here's where I'm going to go with this, and this is probably not what you're expecting. If there is a difference between men and women and their styles, which I think there are some difference in styles, I'll get there in a second, but specifically that are gender-driven, that change the outcome, that says more about the buyers than men and women as the sellers, right? So if there's something that women do, generally speaking, that's more inclined to get a buyer to buy or say that's gender related, that's probably has something to do with that buyer. I was talking to someone the other day at Sales Machine, when I spoke at Sales Machine the other day, and they were talking about how they just feel many women are dressing inappropriate. This is coming from a woman, by the way, so ladies, don't beat me up. Lori, Richard over at Sales Pro, I got mad love for you guys. A woman was telling me that she feels that many of her younger compatriots who are salespeople are dressing inappropriately. They're using sex too much to try to sell, and they don't understand it. But I said, if a man is responding to that, that says more about the dude than it says about that girl, right? So first I start with, I hope buyers are better than that, especially you dudes. If you're chasing the pretty sales girl around, you better check yourself. Married, single, whatever, check yourself, because you're just looking like a clown, all right? And girls, don't do it. I got 3 girls. Don't do it. You don't need to lead with sex. You don't need to lead with your looks. Lead with your brain. If you happen to be fine, you happen to be really good looking, fantastic. Let it trail, but don't use that as your weapon. It's not good. It's not good. But going in that same vein, right? In that same vein, look, you're a woman. Do you think there's a difference between men and women?
Absolutely.
Okay, what do you think the difference is?
I think it's just the way we were raised and what was appropriate for women and little girls versus little boys. Fill up the room. I think it's hatched out that, like, you're allowed to be loud. You're allowed to voice your opinion. You're allowed to, disagree. But for a woman, you're bossy. You're a bitch. Yep. There's a lot that goes with that. So I think,
Yeah, I think what Kiki's talking about right now is Kiki's talking about nature versus nurture, and she's talking about the nurture part. I think there's actually a nature piece that's real here. I think women, generally speaking, are more empathetic than men. I have found and much prefer women salespeople over men salespeople for 2 reasons. One, I'm a massive competitive guy, and I'm guilty of this too, but not as bad as some men. I think men can be overly competitive, and it actually hurts the situation. I call it swinging dick syndrome. I mean, there's just 2 dudes they just get in their own way. It's like, have you ever seen Elephants in Musk, right? They're constantly fighting, and they miss everything that's going on around them. Like, they can't get anything done because they're so obsessed with what the other elephant is doing, right? Women don't have that, generally speaking. What I find and what I prefer women is they're very empathetic. They can get into the head of the buyer. They understand what the buyer's going through. They don't feel some overly competitive need to beat the guy next to them or pound the buyer over the head to get that very last sale. They're going to make a sale on merit. They're going to really try to connect with what the buyer's trying to do, where the buyer's trying to go. They understand if the buyer's objections. And I think they do that better than men. I think there are some other things that men do better, generally speaking, or that is more in tune with whether it's nurture versus nature. I think that competitive piece that can go too far, I think in some cases, is what's needed to push it over the hump. I think men have a license, like Kiki said, to challenge somebody. And sometimes that last challenge, when someone says no or isn't on board, that last challenge is what you need. So I think there are different nature versus nurture elements to both men and women that affect the sale. Is it the ultimate at the very end that makes someone easy to say no or yes? No, because if you're doing sales right and they're a longer sales cycle, there's never just one thing. It's like a sports game, right? That one pass that he dropped, we all remember, but we forget they missed, 3rd and 2 3 times before that. We forget the fact that they missed a field goal. We forget all the other stuff. So same thing here. I think there are absolutely differences, gender differences between men and women that affect how the sell is being made from the beginning of the sales cycle to the end. I think there are advantages for women, and I think there's some advantages to men. I think I find there are more downsides to men, ironically enough, being a dude, some of them I suffer with, than there are with women, but there's some downsides there. So I think it's a really complicated question. I don't know how well I answered it. Usually I have massive confidence in my answers, but this one is just so unique, And as the father of 3 girls, I spend an inordinate amount of time trying to think about these things. What world are my daughters coming into? How am I preparing them? How am I allowing them to be women and young ladies or grow into women? But at the same token, not, get them subjected to some of the biases and buy into some of the gender roles that I don't think are solid in our society. So this has always been a passion of mine, one I'm truly just educating myself on, just coming into, I had a brother and a dad, and I had a sister I didn't spend much time with. So I played lots of sports. I was your typical dude, just guy's guy, beat everybody over the head. And now I've been just dealt 3 girls, and I've had more women work for me than I've had men work for me, and I find working with women to be a little more pleasurable. Sorry, dudes. I love my boy. I love my boy Maxie. I give Maxie big hugs. But sometimes dudes are just too thick-headed. It's like, dude, stop. Can we get some work done? But I don't know. I'm all over the place. This is just a really big one. And in that vein, go check out Women Sales Pros, Lori Richardson. They have a phenomenal organization that's about cultivating women in sales, about helping address some of these gender roles. And it's a fantastic organization. So go check it out. Women Sales Pros, or at Lori Richardson. I believe she's the CEO. Or
Score More Sales.
Huh?
At Score More
Yes.
Sales on Twitter.
Yes, at Score More Sales on Twitter. See, good job. Good job, good job. So it's a really good question. That was one that kind of hit home, and it's making me think. I'm probably not going to like this answer when I watch it, but it was like everything. It's straight from the hip. And I'm going to give some more thought to it, maybe do some reading, and maybe I'll revisit it in the future.
I love that.
Yes.
I love this topic. And one more thing, we have a sales jolt on YouTube where we got Jill Conrath and Teresa Taylor's insights on this, and I thought that was phenomenal. Like, that was one of my absolute favorite shows.
That's a good point. That's right. Go to Sales Jolt on YouTube. The Word. It's The Word, A Jolt to Sales. Go check it out. We did bring in some really bright women to talk about this very, very subject. It's gotten a lot of play, too. It's gotten a lot of play. So I don't know. I think we're good for today. That was good. That was good. Great questions, peeps. I really appreciate it. So I guess until next time, peace. I'm out. You shout out, I shout back. My take on your questions, you got them, you ask them. Hit me up, hashtag Hey Keenan. We'll rock it out. Until next time, peace. I'm out.